Hey guys, it's been a while, a hot summer, and SJ, I jacked her channel a little bit again, but she's right here. Say hi, and this is the 1 year review of the H2 SX. Not to be confused with the H2 SX SE or the SE Plus. Okay, that's it. This is the only color it came in, and this is the review. Now, if you want to see the first review, there's two of them, going back a year, but just a quick walk around, maybe some things we've done to the bike. No tail tidy, I think that is good enough. Obviously, no lifting spools for the rear. We did purchase an ABBA lift for this bike, and that does a good job. Of course, we got frame sliders, fork sliders, little bitty mirrors there. I can't think of anything else that we did to this. Oh, yes, I can. We did this, the GP Pro Race exhaust pipe. I like it. It's a little loud on a cold startup, but it calms right down, and it's bearable as long as you keep the RPMs down. I didn't like the trash can, and our setup with our bikes, it allowed us to put one more bike in the garage. So having said that, it's a big plus. I like the pipe. Some say, well, maybe it took some bottom end off. Maybe it did. But this bike has enough power. I don't mess it. So that's about it for the mods. One thing I do want to point out is somebody might say, well, you know, you got this bike here, and you're going to point out valve stems. You betcha. Look at that. Why can't those valve stems be on every bike made? I mean, it makes it so much easier to monitor your tire pressure and do your routine maintenance. Okay, well, I'm going to fire it up, give it a little pipe. If you're interested, SJ did a video on the pipe installation, sound levels and all, but here we go. There she is at idle. Nice, huh? Plenty of volume if you need it. Now bear with me again. Here we are. There's the display in bright sunlight. Easy to see, right? Not always. Hopefully there's not too much reflection. You guys can see that. A blind person could see that display in this light. Again, not always. Ready, SJ? What I didn't say, and I might be spoiling this, but I'm going to say it anyway. For starters, as far as mods go to the bike, Kawasaki makes 2 seats for this. 3, including the standard seat. And we have the 2 optional seats. And I've got the comfort seat on there now, which is an optional seat. And it's specific to whatever model you have. The SE takes one model of seat. The SS takes another. And the reason why I'm saying this is they're not going to be making these optional seats. Kawasaki isn't. Because this model's discontinued, as you guys may know. So if you have an interest in an optional seat, get one while they're still available. This comfort, you know what? And you put them all side by side. You need a ruler to tell the difference. But I could tell you that there is a difference. I like this comfort seat over the standard seat. Now, the low seat that got so SJ would have better footing when stopped, because she does ride this bike. That works. And she likes it. Me, I think it's like sitting on a frickin' board. But it enables her to feel good when we're stopped. So, anyway, that's it for the seats. Again, if you want the seat, get it now. If you have an SX, get the seat now. Or whatever seat you want, because they're not making this bike and they're not going to keep making optional seats for it. I would guess. Of course, you know where guessing gets you, but anyway, continuing on with the 1 year review. No problems with the bike other than the clutch fluid getting a little dark. Means nothing. We changed it out. Good stuff. Everything performs. No trouble with the bike at all. So on with that. Fuel mileage, gotten up to 50 miles a gallon on fuel. Now, that's not guaranteed all the time. Obviously, that's the max. That includes skip shifting, which I routinely do with this bike. So you know, I mean, back roads, 50, 55 mile an hour, maybe 60 mile an hour, being easy on it. And so you can expect around anywhere between low 40s to 50, depending on your riding style. You want to really beat the hell out of it, ride it like you stole it, kill yourself, you can expect less. Yeah, so that's it for fuel mileage. Again, the bike has been flawless. I have kept all the settings, the way, you know, suspension settings, the way they came from the showroom. I haven't changed a thing. You know, and as far as I'm concerned, for my kind of riding, they're plenty good enough. And I must say, because SJ and I have, between the two of us, have 4 bikes in a barn. Not that I could ever wear this bike, for those of you that know what it means. But no, I've never gotten real comfortable on any of them. So, having said that, though, this bike, I mean, it does what you'd like a bike to do. It's very predictable. It's got good brakes. In fact, as compared to a lot, outstanding brakes. But for this class of bike, it's got good brakes. It's got very neutral steering and handling. The tires it came with from the factory, I don't know. I never pushed them that hard, but I don't think you could ask for much more. They seem okay to me. And yeah, it's just an easy bike to ride. It's heavy, and I like that. It's slated as a super sport tourer. Kawasaki is. We could get into that in a minute, but having said that, out on a super highway, I like weight. A light bike, expansion joints, whoop-de-doos going over overpasses and stuff. You know, I would rather have a heavy bike to do that stuff with. And you really, I don't catch myself having to muscle this bike around. It's just so easy to ride. And what have I explored? Okay, in all the time that I've had this, yes, I do have it, the throttle in full power mode. Having said that, full power mode at slow speeds, small throttle openings, can be a little itchy. So if you're going to be around town, either pick low power mode or medium power mode. The fueling, the throttling is just absolutely perfect. F mode, or highest mode for 100% power. Yeah, just be careful. It's a little itchy. Anyhow, what else? Yeah, I don't make much use of all the gauges and all the things you can look at. The lean angle, I may look at it when I get home, not so much. And I'm the kind of rider that around 31, 32 degree lean angle, which is not a lot, is plenty good for me. I don't like going beyond that. You know, whatever the case, that's what I feel good with. As far as power goes, yeah, this bike has enough power to scare the bejesus off of most people. Now, maybe not everyone, people that are used to 1 liter super sports and 1 liter naked bikes, maybe not so much, but for me, no. I've never really full throttled in first gear, second gear, maybe a little third gear. I may have hit red line once. Some people would say, well, you haven't rode the damn thing yet. Well, hey, here's the thing. It's supercharged. So you're going to get more power down low than you will a normally aspirated 1 liter bike. So it's not the off the line torque of a big V twin, no matter what country of origin. It's not that, but it quickly makes up for that, and the power delivery is linear and smooth. There's no sudden bumps. It's just the higher that tack goes, the harder it pulls until you think you're riding on the back of the devil. Again, just my thoughts. There's a lot of bikes that are quicker than this and pull harder. I'm just talking about this bike. And I've left the traction control number 2. Having said that, I've never experienced a wheelie. I have felt the front wheel come off the ground just maybe a half an inch. So thank you, Kawasaki, for that. This thing with all this guts can, you know, I mean, this 6-axis system that they have on this really works. I understand there's a wheelie control on it too. I haven't tried that. Well, what I'm getting at is, I don't know that I've ever had this thing interfere. If I have, I don't know it. And the number 2 traction control is what I like. I've never tried the least invasive traction control setting, and I've never would dream of turning it off. Some may try it, but it's not for this guy. I like the number 2 traction control, and it works very, very well. Actually, I like the medium throttle control too. But when you're out on the road and you don't feel like downshifting, I'm a lazy rider. I'll skip shift and do all. I mean, it is a nice roll-on because it's supercharged. That's the main reason why I bought this bike. When Kawasaki first came out with the H2, I said to SJ, you know what? I would buy that bike if they made something with a seating position that I could stand to live with. And they did. And we got one. And I got this one, the SX, because I didn't like the color of the SXE for 18. Sounds kind of stupid, but I got to look at it, I got to ride it, I got to like the way it looks. I'm not overly in love with this color, but I made my choices. You know, and with that, and I don't want to talk too much about models that this is not, but the SE has some goodies on it that I would have loved to have had. But yeah, I could have bought the SE for 18 and changed the color, but no. Now, this year's SE Plus, that's another story. But then again, we're going to talk about price. I think it's about $25,000 price tag. That's a lot of money for a bike. That's a lot of money, and I'll get into that too. But now, Having said that, let's get into what class this Kawasaki sells this bike in. Kawasaki sells this bike as a super sport tour, and I'd say yeah, with a couple caveats, a couple questions with that. And one is, well, you got to look at the chain. And a sport tour, even a super sport tour, I don't know. It's got a chain. And the other one is the gearing. And then I want to get into the transmission. So, okay, on highway speeds, two of my sons have CX-14Rs, both. The oldest and the youngest have CX-14Rs. And I've had a chance to ride with both of those, not only on the back roads, but secondary highways, but out on the super highways. And this thing compared to them, just going down the super slab at a rate that you're keeping up with traffic, if you don't want to stick out like a sore thumb and get run over. This thing revs about 1,000 RPM higher than that ZX-14. And believe me, this thing would do just fine with a primary shaft sprocket with one more tooth on it. Try to get that RPM in the right range. But that leads to more problems, because then that would require a change in the gearing on the transmission. And because first gear would get a little too long. So there's a little hang up with me. If you don't mind going down the highway at normal super slab speeds. This is a cop up here, by the way. If you don't mind that, then I'm just talking out of my rear end. But if you do, and you change the primary sprocket, the sprocket is on the engine, the transmission, not the rear sprocket. And the attitude to that, now you're going to wind up with a first gear that's probably not going to feel good to you coming off a light. So there's one thing that, what I'm saying is the transmission, I don't know. I mean, I love it. It shifts nice. It's a great transmission. Probably, never break it, but the gearing, that's what I'm getting at. The gearing may be a little wrong on this bike for super sport touring, so to speak. So that's one thing. Now, the other thing is, let me negotiate this. Okay, the other thing is the handlebars. First, here we go. I'm talking about touring riding. Now, maybe if you're going to spend this time on the super slab a lot at whatever speed you got to do to keep up with traffic, maybe that's it'll be okay because the wind's acting for you. But if you're going to spend your time toddling around in the city or on secondary roads where you're not getting much wind on you to sort of pull yourself up, you might find these bars just a little uncomfortable on a long ride. You want to take the scenic route. There is a mod out there on the internet that changes the bars and puts them in a more believable position. And that's about $500 or so, give or take. I don't know how good it is, but I've looked at it. I may, at some point, choose to look into it very seriously. But anyway, that's my take on that. Now, having said all that, I'm looking at this display right now, and it's not in direct sunlight. And, you got to look at it real hard. Some may be able to see it very well, not a problem. But everyone's skip shifting from second to sixth. And you can do that with this. And it's got the, oh. Roll on it. Oh, man. Anyway. It's, alright, I just distracted myself. Weigh it out now. The display's in the sunlight and it's easy to see. Yes, the TFT display on the SX, SE, and the SE Plus is superior to this. And I don't want to talk about those bikes because this is the strip version of those bikes. But, having said that, and I'm going to wrap it up with this. I tried to give as accurate review as I can after operating and owning this bike for a year. And all I can say is Kawasaki, I believe, list prices has some leftovers of these, and they're claiming $16,000. You could probably work a deal for maybe $15,000 at a dealer that's willing to work with you. I would have to say that for $15,000, if you could cut a deal like that, even $15,500 and even $16,000, this is a lot of bike for the money. And you can put bags on it if you're so inclined. And you know, you can convince your significant other, wife, whatever, that it's a touring bike and you can go out 2-up with it. And you know, it's something that you bought for us instead of something that you bought to scare the daylights out of yourself, in case you're so inclined. I mean, it is a lot of bike for that money. And while they're available, if you know, you're looking at the SX, SE Plus, and they also have leftover SX, SEs. It's kind of tongue-tied, but either one, a lot of bike for the money. And you know, and I'm not down in the Plus, the SE Plus. That is, they made some significant improvements on that. But you're going to spend 25 grand for it. 10 grand less, 9 grand less buys you one of these if you can find a dealer with them. It's a lot of bike for the money. And if you don't like the handlebar position for the way you're riding or your riding style, there's probably going to be more and more upgrades, third parties, engineering handlebar setups to make it believable. The seating position is great. My foot position is absolutely perfect where my foot lay. It's not overly aggressive, not it's perfect. So that's my only real deal with this bike is the handlebars, but then I don't worry that much on the super slab with it, so super highways. That's it for me. Ride safe. Above all, be safe today so you can ride again tomorrow. Bye.